bum ba 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 bum ba da 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 da. Hi ya ya bum bum ba ba bum ba da da dun dun. Hi ya ba 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 bum ba bum ba da da dun dun. Hi ya oh ya. Ay 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 ay, hi ya ba bum bum bum. Okay, hello, how are you? We could say the master remedy for everyone, everywhere, at all times is to be alone and to talk to God about what you're most thankful for, what you want help with the most, how you want that help the most, to try to think about all your problems and uncover the spiritual causes of your problems. Every external problem has an internal cause. Breslov Hasidut, it jibes really well with Chinese medicine, in that in Chinese medicine we're always looking for the cause of the problem. The deepest cause, and that's why a lot of Chinese medicine leads to Buddhism and Taoism, because those systems are always looking at from a very deep level. Chinese medicine is sort of the outgrowth of Taoism, or one of the branches of Taoism, one of the fruits of Taoism, and some people say that Taoism is one of the fruits of Buddhism, and that Buddhism is one of the fruits of Hinduism. So all these systems kind of lead back into the mothership when people get really serious about healing. Their mothership being Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. The movement I'm with is about we're also into trying to get at the absolute roots of all the problems. But this mothership is what we claim to be the mothership of Hinduism. That all that Abraham sent his son to the east bearing gifts, it says in Bereshit, Genesis, and that the real root of Hinduism and Buddhism and Taoism is Torah. But I don't care about the philosophical side. I just care about helping you get what you most want and avoid what you most want to avoid from the core level. I don't mind working on the externals. That's why I do massage therapy, literally working on the external parts of you. I only work on men. But the external leads to the internal, and the internal leads to the external. If somebody meditates deeply enough, they can shift things on the outside of their life. If you think about something with enough concentration, you can affect the world just like you were working in the world with your will. But most of us were not concentrating enough properly, so we have to take action in the world. All throughout history, many famous spiritual people didn't work. How did everything get taken care of? apparently they're connected on some other level that you and I probably aren't yet all the way connected in with. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is a famous person who I think never worked a day in his life, as they say. But they weren't. There was the opposite of lazy people. They were working on what he was working on, what he needed to, on a whole other level than just normal physical work. Lag BaOmer is coming up in a couple weeks, and I'll probably go to Meron. It takes the cake for the craziest gatherings on earth, but not by Western standards. I mean, it's just it's very kind of ethical craziness, but it is full on crazy. If you haven't gone, you should really try to go. It's something. Okay, but I don't want to make these videos seem like they're just for Jews. They're for everybody. That's why I was saying I'm with this movement where we're offering an alternative to medicine that's connected to Asian religion. Now, a lot of people say, oh, acupuncture, it's not connected. I just do the needling. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to all my patients, I always say that the order of treatment in Asia traditionally was if you had a problem, you went to the version of the priest in town, maybe a Confucian priest or Taoist priest or Buddhist priest, or in India, a sannyasin, Brahmin, whatever. And they would work with you on a spiritual level. They'd kind of give you some sort of meditation, intuitive, psychic kind of way of working on your problem. And if you couldn't get an effect, then the next step was to work on some kind of exercise therapy like yoga or tai chi, qigong. And if you couldn't get an effect, then the next step might be changing the diet, dietary therapy. Still no success, then Chinese herbal therapy, Ayurvedic herbal therapy. Still no success, then maybe massage therapy. Still no success, then acupuncture, right? So now in the modern world, people just go to the bottom of the chain. And then if that doesn't work, they work their way up back to the top. So it's upside down. Everything is upside down. So we want to just cut right to the root of things, and that's the practice I teach on JerusalemHealth.net. Under sessions, you can read about it. And this is basically just a holistic glorification of what Rabbi Nachman was teaching, which I started this class about, and that's that to seclude yourself and talk aloud about what you most want to talk about is the master remedy. Although he called Tikkun Klali, I think he used those words for Tikkun Klali, the master remedy. So that's a series of psalms, poems mostly by King David, and that was another incredible discovery by Rabbi Nachman. These certain poems said in a certain order could have this incredible effect. And specifically those poems, was connected to rectifying men spilling their seed in vain. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has some really intense teachings about why and how men shouldn't spill their seed in vain, and stories about it. I won't get into it here just because we have a mixed audience usually, but if you want to read Secret of the Brit BRIT. They have it online free at jewishsexuality.org. And pretty intense stuff. You can't really expect people watching a YouTube video to usually be the type of people that want the real deal, hard-hitting, scare you to pieces Kabbalah. But even if one person hears about this book and reads it, you can see it's quite fascinating. So I could talk day and night about how we're all going to get healthy and how to do it, but it pales in comparison to just helping people practice and you discover it yourself. I could talk myself blue in the face, and people don't really end up doing anything usually from just hearing lectures. They need a method to practice, a method, a haruta, a study partner, a method, a study partner, and a master to teach it. So I'm resigning from the master position. I'm just an aide here. Like I say, part of this school is you have to find who your true master is. Your living, human person that you want to give the most authority in your life to, and who you want to volunteer for the most. And then I can teach you my method under their direction. If it's someone I believe in. If it's not, I'll help you get away from them. I'm quite effective at that. So in these videos, you're supposed to say something the whole time. I don't always feel like talking the whole time. But I know I'll lose my audience if I don't blab on and on. Andy Warhol had a famous movie that was just him driving for 2 hours straight. Right? I think that was it. He was such an interesting person. And it was just a spoof on Hollywood, that there always has to be something going on. And then there's a famous composer, I think it was John Cage. He would just make music where there was no music. That was his concert. No music. He'd get on stage and give talks where he didn't talk. I can appreciate it. So in the West, we need a whole show and distraction to feel like something's going on. That's why what I'm teaching is hard. I need you to get off Facebook. Hopefully, just quit it. Shut everything down and get outside alone. Hopefully, once a day, and really get into it. How can you let your life go by without taking time to focus on what's the central thing you're working on? So if somebody doesn't have a big song and dance, the whole production and presentation, we have a hard time respecting them. And most of the real leaders, the highest, realest, most important people on earth, a lot of them don't put up the song and dance for a lot of reasons. So if you're that, I was going to say dumb, but let me think of the PC word. If you're that corrupt, that doesn't sound nice either. If you're so brainwashed, is that better? If you're so brainwashed that your leading person in your life has to be somebody that has a huge song and dance and hubbub going on around them, that's a problem. That's a real problem. because it's going to limit you finding who might be more Nister, more secret. Nigla is revealed and Nister is secret. Some teachers have public missions and some teachers have private missions. And I meet a lot of people, they can only follow some with the public mission. And that's silly. One of the greatest healers I know in the whole world is completely hidden on purpose. I send a lot of people to him, and I'll send you too, and he won't take you because he's only looking for a certain level of commitment that's really, 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 really rare. It feels like. Sorry about that. Let me turn that off. People that have that kind of commitment, they're gonna have a pretty quick cure, because no disease can really stand up in the face of that kind of commitment to a real healer. That's the idea. So the real disease is lack of commitment. Goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, that Americans, they want to treat alternative medicine like some kind of quick fix drug, or Israelis too, for that matter. And the real Masorah of alternative medicine is how to cut to the absolute root cause of a problem. And it's the same approach as Breslov. So what's the difference? Nothing. But externally, the difference is that most alternative medicine traces back to the East, or a lot of it traces to Western Wiccan traditions, which is basically the word for witch. Shamanistic traditions. Shamans work with the dead a lot of times, contacting the dead, which is against the rules in Torah, or it works with a whole bunch of African shaman traditions, on and on. Most modern alternative medicine connects to some so-called non-kosher ethnic cultural tradition. And I know this sounds very closed-minded to the liberals out there. I used to be the same way. I closed down right away when people would talk like this. So how can I explain this? How can I explain this in some way that's going to go in? Every fruit has a root, and everything comes from somewhere. So you're being influenced by. You're being influenced by the roots of whatever tradition you connect to, whether you like it or not. The most magic healing system I ever came across, they could do incredible magic things, and they traced it back to Merlin, King Arthur or something. But the real version, the Druids. And even though they could do incredible things, I always felt like something was weird. They could make whole walls of light come across. I never saw such revealed magic from a system. But even back then, when I was immersed in Hinduism and other things, I felt like, boy, something feels weird about this. So we just have to face it. There's something that's more pure than something else. That goes against about 99% of modern philosophy we'll run into, that wants to make everything equal or something like this. And the heck with it. The heck with the whole bundle. Philosophy is kind of a dangerous thing. It's almost all of it is so off. I worked with the son of a very famous person once. I was asking him all about his favorite, kind of modern thinkers. So we named the most important one at all, and he said, the guy's got the most incredible mind you ever had, but he's such a terrible person. And it just went right in my thesis here that, like, we want it all, right? We want to be around the leading minds of the generation of the people whose ethics are in line. There's a famous story about, I think it was Aristotle, that his students came over and they caught him doing adultery with a woman, and he said something like, right now I'm not Aristotle. In other words, he taught all this lofty stuff in his philosophy house, but outside of it he didn't behave properly. So we want it all. We want to be around the person in the world that has the most developed intellect and the most developed ethics, and that wants to help us the most. And then we want to find out how to get their help, no matter what it takes. It's not that complicated a formula, but very few people I know are doing it, because it takes everything we got. And it's a lot easier to get distracted, to get scattered. There's a demonstration where you can take a board and you have like 20 nails sticking up from it, pointing upwards. You just nail them through the board so they're all pointing. The nails are pointing up, and then you roll up a piece of newspaper and you can't break it over the nails because there's too many points at once. And then you put a board with just one nail pointing up and that same rolled up newspaper, and it breaks the first time because all the pressure is through one spot. So for us to get to our true master, our true Rebbe, our true leader, is going to take everything we got if we want to get there closely, full on, full in. And I teach a lot of people my meditation style who aren't willing to do this, and it just drags on. It's definitely better than nothing. A lot of people having some good results, but it's like literally like a fraction of what could be happening. One concept that I got that's inspiring me this week is our brain eats knowledge the same way our body eats food. When my training in Chinese medicine, I got very, very, very tuned into nutrition of all kinds: breathing, air, sunlight, food. And I can feel what I'm missing, and I can feel when I'm getting it in me. And I noticed I'm much more developed physically like that than I am mentally. I haven't developed yet as much this feeling of what I'm missing mentally. And what I'm working on is to get the hunger for what I'm missing the most mentally and go learn it, right? There's an idea that when you read the book of a certain holy person, you digest their insights, you take it into you. And unlike physical food, it just becomes part of you. You don't have to shed it. It just kind of builds you. And I heard a story this week about one Kabbalist in Jerusalem that said to another person, he could tell exactly every important book that that person had read just by looking at them. He could tell that it was in their energy field. Is that incredible? He could see that they had digested. If you go to a great nutritionist, they can say, "Oh, I see you're deficient in B12. Oh, I see you're deficient in iron." They can see it. They've been doing nutrition 40 years. They know how to diagnose. So it's like that. He was like a spiritual nutritionist that could just see which books the guy had digested. So the fitness world, it's all about the body, which is interesting, but it's lower. Lower isn't bad. The feet are lower than the head, but they're not bad. But they have a kind of lower mission, right? The sexual energy isn't bad. It's just lower than the mental energy. The goal is to conserve the sexual energy and build the mental, intellectual energy in the right kind of way. Easier said than done. After I got into Torah, I looked back on all this schooling I had in college and university, and there was a lot of intellect being built, but in retrospect, most of these scenes seem twisted. Academia. There's a saying by Rabbi Nachman that when you sigh, your sigh fills your lacking. Isn't that interesting? In nutrition, we feel what we're lacking and we eat it. And somehow that a sigh would fill up something that's lacking in you. It's a mysterious concept, right? The sigh fills the lacking. In my mind, we're making space for new energy to come in. The sigh is all this pent up tension being bound up. So if we feel what if we really concentrate, that's part of being alone. If we really concentrate, we can sense what we truly know, and then we can sense what we're hungry to know, what we're most hungry to know. Now, in regular nutrition, we have cravings for things that aren't good for us. So the same with mentally. We want to know certain gossip. We want to know tons of trivial information. We want to know current events that don't really affect us. And on and on and on. So here we want to concentrate on the mental hunger we have for the best nutrients, the best mental nutrients. And a lot of you who watch my videos, you want to reinvent the wheel, and I appreciate that impulse. And I'm excited about hearing from you who try to reinvent your wheel. I always like to hear it's kind of like a comedy, but we don't have to always reinvent the wheel. For instance, there's the Torah. That's a certain kind of mental nutrition that, after 25 years of my seeking in other traditions in the world, I feel like this is the ultimate mental nutrition. But I'm happy if you try something that's more feels like it feeds you more, and you tell me about it. I'm open-minded like that. I like to hear what you're into. But in the same way that when we eat, we should feel exactly what we're missing, and we should try to get that in the food. We need to be like this with our mind. We need to feel what we're missing, and then try to go and get it. to my credit, I really chase after people that have mentally what I want to connect to. To my detriment, I could be a little more focused about it. A lot of things I want to know, I don't really use them once I learn them, right? What would be nice is if we know what we need to use the most, and we find that knowledge and we implement it. It's a little more practical, obviously. And there's this other concept that when we digest things mentally, our mental understanding, it goes to a new level, and then we can digest the next ring of mental understanding. It's like in college, you can't do the 202 course until you've done the 101 course, or you can't do the 201 course until you've done the 101 course. So just like this, but in a holistic, balanced way, we have it's like where the halo comes from and all this hagiography. These people would admit this halo because they have this certain understanding that keeps growing and growing and growing. And if you want to roll with me, I need you to find who has the greatest halo of understanding that's relevant to you, and I need you to get in with them. And chances are the person with great understanding, they either don't need you or they're very busy. And so chances are it's going to take a whole lot of patience if they're very busy to get in with them, and a whole lot of patience if they can make use of you some way to get in with them. So this is about patience. And this whole bit about the orders of treatment, ranging from meditation all the way down to acupuncture, it's about patience, right? People look to acupuncture now like it's some holistic miracle. To me, it's like the last rung in the order here. Not to put it down, I love it. I might try to interview Ron Khalif up in Tel Aviv. He's a big shot acupuncturist and a big mensch, it feels like. He's got 25 people working for him. Some big wheeling operation in Tel Aviv. Very progressive city in some ways, Tel Aviv. When Israelis turn down the normal Torah, they have a whole lot of energy to put into other things. There's a lot of that in Tel Aviv. It's like a competition thing. The secular Israelis say, we don't need this Torah. We'll show you how good we are and self-sufficient we are, and they become great in just about anything they apply themselves to. And it's going to be convenient because God's going to harvest all those very accomplished people, and they're going to have all these skills to bring to the table. There's a great wave a coming. The Lord is going to claim His country back. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forward to carry me home. Swing low. I don't know if I'm allowed to sing that. I'm getting more Haredi, which means more getting with stricter religious people, and just about everything's against the rules. It's kind of comic, but it's very sweet. It's all about like what they call ahimsa in yoga, harmlessness. You don't want to do anything that could possibly harm yourself or anyone else. So the laws that outside people look at ridiculous, I'm starting to realize they're all tied to this spirit of like non-violence, we call it in the old yoga schools. And I'm going with it. Partly to show as an example to you all, but it's definitely not the biggest motivation. One of the rules I got today is no Skype. I had this whole plan for a big video mission. Been doing a lot of Skype consults already, and I was going to do a whole lot more. And the rule is that it's too tempting for people that they can log on anytime, day or night, and contact someone of the opposite sex 24 hours a day. So the Reb Chaim Kanievsky of Bnei Brak apparently just said, forget the whole kit and caboodle. And I said, but the Rebbe I was talking to said, look, I'm just repeating what Rav Kamenetsky said, do what you want. And I couldn't get out of it. I thought, because I haven't met him yet, but he's a legendary guy, and he's like the top of the chain in certain circles, and that's that. So it's nice in a way. It's nice being part of this big army-like operation where what the generals say, go. It's very relaxing in a way. I mean, in the West, people think I'm completely in this cult called Orthodox Judaism. And whatever, if you really want to talk about it, you'll understand it's a little deeper than that. A wee bit deeper. That's part of following who we believe in the most. If they say, hey, look, try this, if we really believe in them, even if we don't agree with that individual decision, we'll give it a try, right? So one of the clues that you're not really following your master, that you haven't really found your master leader person, is that when they tell you what to do, you just don't want to do it. Where there's love, there's law. If you're in love with someone, they say, do you mind picking up your socks when you throw them on the floor? And then you say, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Not that people in love don't fight, but in general, we're the more we love someone, the more we're happy to follow their requests. Now with spiritual law, it gets more complicated. Very, very subtle laws that have thousands and thousands of twists and turns over the generations of why they came out that way. It's not always so easy for us to understand why to follow them with happiness even. Following the law is not good enough. We have to be thrilled about it. Life without halacha, I can't cope. Yeah, I can't imagine what I did before halacha. Well, I can imagine what I did was Muslim halacha, which is called fiqh. Before that, I did Buddhist halacha, which is called Vinaya. Before I did that, I did Hindu halacha, which is called Brahmanism, I guess. It's a better word. And before that, I did sort of American halacha. The founding fathers in America were kind of like the Rebbes of America, right? And they even had beards. And they were these like larger than life figures that we all sort of aspired to. And they were around the time of Rabbi Nachman, I think exactly at the time of Rabbi Nachman, whoever knows what that's all about. And it's just funny to me, this whole kind of founding fathers as the Rebbe type of thing. And I don't think it's all bad. They did seem like some pretty interesting people as things go. And you know, we Americans can make them proud. They were gonna put Chuck Norris on Mount Rushmore, but they couldn't find granite that was hard enough for his beard. Is that the joke? Some really stupid joke I heard the other night. Before I got my internet filter. I admit it, I was out of control. Like I said, I wasn't looking at anything really bad. It was just this kind of endless surfing thing. Before you know it. I did hear a story today about somebody who had a real problem. His wife wanted him to find Parnassa on the internet, and then he find work on the internet, and he got into it and got way kind of connected to a bunch of bad things. And before he knew it, he felt like he was gonna, like he just couldn't control himself around women in general from all this influence. And to his credit, he went and got help. He told another one of my friends and got on this group called Guard Your Eyes and backed off. And looks like it's all going to end, the story's going to end happily ever after. And we'll end this class on that note. When I talked to my posek today, my lawgiver, he said, none of my work on the internet should encourage people to stay on the internet more. In general. I think the internet's kind of like a hell. Like in hell, the idea is in Torah that you get in and get out. You do your business and you get out. You don't want to get stuck there. So I'm not trying to encourage anybody to stay on longer. And that's why the best way to get in touch with me is to call me. And if not, just to write me. Geltman at JerusalemHealth.net. Geltman at JerusalemHealth.net. Bum ba na 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 num num ba da dum na 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 num ba da dum ba bum ba bum 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 ay da 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 oi 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 ba da bum bum ba bum 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 ba da bum ba bum ba bum ba bum 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 bida bum 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 bida bum bum idoi doi 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 bum 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 bum. Good night.